These are three major parts that we wanted to get completed on this car. And we done it. Open.
Oh, sweetheart. Sweet.
Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another exciting episode from Salvage Nation. As you can see, we are picking up exactly where we left off on the last episode. This is by far the most complicated and the most difficult job that I've had on the channel thus far, and I hope that you're enjoying it. If this is the first time watching, I suggest going to check out the previous 2 episodes on this car to bring you up to speed, because this episode is going to be very technical. We're going to be cutting, chopping, welding, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't run into any issues. And the plan is, by the end of this episode, I want to have the front end rebuilt or reassembled on this car. I've got a replacement chassis leg. We're going to be cutting this one. As you can see, this is completely mangled. In the last episode, we pulled it straight. We're going to cut all the damage off. I've got a new leg to weld on, and then hopefully once everything lines up, I can replace the subframe and rebuild the front end. I've got a complete front slam panel. I've got the headlights. I've got the radiators. I've got everything. But first, we need to sort out this chassis leg. So that's where we're going to start. Subscribe. Let's get into it. So guys, take a look at that chassis leg. It's completely mangled. I've still got the engine supported on that engine bar right there, which we had to buy in the last episode. I've also got some support at the bottom, and the engine is nice and secure where it is. I've got a replacement suspension corner. We've got more than enough material here. So all we need to do is measure it up, double check, triple check our measurements, cut, weld, and get that new leg on there. I've got rad packs right there. I've got to put back in the caps. I've got a new drive shaft on the way. One of the things that we noticed once we took everything off in the last episode, I don't think I showed it, but if you look right there, let me zoom in, you can see the engine mount has got a crack right there. If you look right there, there's a cracked engine mount. So I've got one of them coming down from Mercedes. Gonna swap that out whilst it's off. And with everything stripped down, I'm gonna take the opportunity to swap out this pump. I've got a brand new pump. Have a look at that. The pump itself, I'm assuming, is okay, but this is the thermostat housing, and the thermostat housing is broken right there. But I'm just gonna pull the whole thing out, put a brand new pump with a new housing in there, and then hopefully we can continue to plumb up everything. I've got a ton of pipes and little sensors and little actuators to go to the cooling side of things. So hopefully guys, by the end of this episode, like I said, we should be able to get the car plumbed up, running coolant, get the front end assembled, and then we can drive the car out and really crack on with the bodywork and get this AMG back on the road. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. I'm gonna get my reciprocating saw and cut this one off. We've made a plan, me and Mustafa, we've made a plan. So first we have to cut this off, and then we can measure up. Alright guys, so that was the first step, and I just want to point this out. I'm not going to do too much talking in this episode, but I really want to stress this point here. If you have a look, the chassis leg has gone from kind of about here all the way back to the bulkhead, right? The bit that we've cut off is literally, I'd say, about 10 inches. It's literally shorter than my hand. This is not going to cause any sort of stress or compromise any of the safety of this car. And then when we weld this in, we're going to measure it all up, and we're going to weld it in a way, believe me, it's going to be stronger than when it actually came from the manufacturers. I remember I've worked on several of these cars, BMWs, and when I phoned up BMW to get a replacement chassis leg, they gave me pop rivets and glue, and they told me that's how they do it in the manufacturers in the factory. So if they're using pot rivets and glue for the chassis, we're going to be manually welding this in, and we're going to be putting several seams, and we're going to reinforce it on the inside, reinforce it on the outside, so it's going to make it 110%. So I just wanted to point that out. Let's continue. Alright you guys, so it's update time. I am getting excited because I can actually see the light at the end of the tunnel. So check this out. Mustafa went ahead and cut this one off. You saw, we cut this off. He made sure he measured from the rear, the very back point. He found a focal point there, up to this point, measured it. We also did a second measurement from here to there. These are all secure measuring points which don't move. Once all the measurements were calculated, we went ahead and made a cut. This is the old broken bit, that's completely mangled. We repeated the same process on the replacement corner that we had. This is super accurate and this is ready to be welded. Even the hole right there, have a look at that hole. It lines up perfectly, all because of measuring. You have to measure 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, double check, triple check, and then make your cuts. And we're gonna be welding this up, getting this all attached, all nice and strong. And then once that's done, we can start the reassembly of the front end on this AMG. Then, whilst all of this is off and this area is nice and free, I also went ahead and I replaced this electronic water pump simply because the thermostat housing right here was broken. So this is the one that we've removed. The pump itself doesn't seem to be damaged, and this was over 500 quid alone from Mercedes. So the pump itself doesn't seem to be damaged. However, the thermostat housing, several connectors were broken off, and that's that connector right there. And simply because of that, we had to buy a new unit. So that's that new unit on. Fun times ahead. Fun times ahead. Let's go. So guys, gotta pause the video. This part of the video, we're gonna be doing a lot of welding. There's gonna be a lot of flashing lights. So if you suffer from any sort of photo epilepsy, please turn away. Now, just a warning, let's continue. So guys, there you have it. This is a landmark moment on this build. It's been 3 hard days of hard work, hard graft, hard labor, believe me. But it's all come down to this. And as you can see, the new chassis leg has been welded into place. There's still some work that we need to do on that, but I'm excited to get this front end reassembled. However, I've run into a few problems. I showed you earlier in the episode that we've got a broken engine mount. Mercedes haven't got that for about 4 days, so I have to wait for that, unfortunately, because if I reassemble this, I'm never gonna get to that again. So I need to wait for that. And then I also noticed that this is one of the radiator hoses. It's got a, where is it? It's got a tiny little puncher, but under pressure, tons of water is just gonna squirt out. Yeah, here it is. It's got a little puncher right there, so water is just gonna leak out of that. So I need to order this. Once again, Mercedes haven't got this on the shelf. It needs to be ordered in from Germany. It's gonna take about 7 days also for this one. So these are the tiny little bits that I need to kind of get. I went ahead and I replaced this. This is a little component that does, I don't know, it switches and changes the lanes of the water flow. So I went ahead and got that installed. I've got a rad pack there. I've got the front slam panel in the next room. I've got everything, headlights to get this front end reassembled, but we've got to wait for a few parts. So I'm gonna catch up with you guys in a few days. Alright guys, so it's about 3 days later and boy have we got an update for you. We've done quite a lot. Let me show you exactly what we've done. So the last time we checked in, Mustafa welded in this bit of the chassis leg. Now, what we did, we went ahead and put some seam sealer, sanded it flat, put a bit of seam sealer, and he went ahead and painted it. Now, this seam sealer is going to protect against rust and the elements. It's kind of like a rubberized seam sealer. But look at that chassis leg now. We've gone ahead and we've repaired that. I am happy with that. Whilst we were there, like I told you, we're waiting for this engine mount. Have a look, new engine mount has been fitted right there. Whilst I was also waiting, we went ahead and got this pipe. This pipe is what we're waiting for before we can continue. We also went ahead and fitted the new subframe, so the new subframe is on there. And yeah, man, these are 3 major parts that we wanted to get completed on this car. And we done it. So if I step back, you can see we've now got 2 fully straightened chassis legs, we got the new subframe on, and now that all that's left is to reassemble all of these pipes, put the front rads on, and then I want to start the car up and let it heat up, and then I'll be testing for any leaks and making sure that everything that we've done is working. I showed you before, I went ahead and changed that pump. This is a little diverter valve I've changed as well, and we've got some other little pipes and that to change, but hopefully by the end of this episode I want the car running and heating up and the cooling system to be fully working, and that's the plan. But this is a major milestone on this build. Whew. Now that that's out of the way, let's continue. Straight, Papa.
Look my job.
Yeah, Papa.
This is Mustafa. Proper job. Proper. You see everything right now?
Open.
Oh, sweeter. Sweet. Sweetie.
Guys, take a look at this thing now. My guy Mustafa, he done his thing. This is why we brought the car down to H&M Car Centre, because Mustafa's the guru of these sort of things. And as you heard him said earlier, my sweetie, and this sweetie is one step closer to being completed. Since we caught up, I went ahead and I fitted the air tank, the front slam panel has gone on, we adjusted the bonnet is opening and closing perfectly, everything is lining up, the trajectory is all lining up, and this is where we're gonna end this episode. I've been on this car all day. I hope you enjoyed it, and in the next episode we're going to be assembling all the cooling systems. The radiator's got to go in, and then once all of that is done, I'll get all the drive systems up and we should be able to take the car outside and give it a nice little drive, and etc, etc. We've got headlights, we've got a ton of stuff to put on, so if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'm not going to talk too much, I'm going to head off now. So like I always say, keep it moving, and I'll see you in the next one. Guys, thank you for watching. Click here to see what YouTube thinks you should watch. Click here to watch one of my previous episodes. And like it said there, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. We out.